Welcome to All About Money on HKIBC. I'm Chloe Feng. The pandemic has dealt a heavy blow to many businesses and sectors, but it also opened the doors for those who made use of the time on their hands to pursue their dreams. Phoebe Chan, for instance, launched her own brand. The Hong Kong Chinese University undergraduate created Mooncake Wellington, fusing the cuisine of East and West to give mooncakes a modern twist. Let's welcome the founder of Phoebe's Kitchen. So nice to speak to you, Phoebe. How are you?
Hello, Chloe. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Great. And first of all, I want to talk about your learning journey. So also, can you tell us how old are you now? I know that you just graduated from the university, right? So you're still pretty young. And when did you start to learn how to cook?
So I actually just graduated in May, so I'm now 23. And I started cooking back when I was still in primary school, as my parents were always out working, and then me and my three siblings will have to take turn help cooking up a meal for the whole family. And then at that time, I just simply looked at how my mom cooked and followed her ways. And then 2 years ago, under the pandemic, so schools were all suspended and switched to online lessons. So I spent much more time at home and cook a lot more for my family. So I usually look for different recipes on Google or YouTube, and then I also set up my Instagram page to share all the dishes I've made.
Right, and I know that you also created the very popular Mooncake Wellington like during the pandemic as well. So tell us, how did you create or get the idea of creating these kind of very innovative mooncakes?
Yeah, so this idea actually sprouted in year 2020 when I noticed that Hong Kongers generally really liked beef Wellington, and mooncake is like a cultural symbol to locals. And that was one day I made a batch of individual beef Wellingtons at home, and then I just realized they actually look quite like to mooncakes. So then I just put these two things together, and then it worked. So there it was, the Mooncake Wellington. And then when I first shared my creation on my social media, and then there was an overwhelmingly positive response, and seeing how the Mooncake Wellington has so much potential in the market, and that's when I decided to launch it as a product to the market.
Right, and also I know that you started all of this business on your own, and when you first had this idea, and you shared it with your parents, for example, I'm thinking, what were their reactions when they heard about this?
So my family, luckily, has always been very supportive to me. So at first, I had just planned to just make the Mooncake Wellingtons in small batches at home. But then my parents encouraged me to make it like a bigger venture, since it was such an innovative idea. So then I do it like in a mass production. And then I even took a gap year to do this project. But at the beginning, my mom was a little bit worried because she was more traditional thinking, and then she thought taking a gap year would affect my studies. But then action speaks louder than words. Luckily, the results have proved her that I've made the right decision. So this year we have returned with a new flavor, which is the Salmon Wellington, to cater the needs of some non-beef eaters as well as some seafood lovers. I think the biggest challenge on creating this new flavor was how to prevent the salmon from being too fishy, because I think it's a major concern of most people. So then I've tried different recipes, and finally I have the final version, which is I paired it with cream cheese and Parmesan cheese as well as mozzarella cheese, and I also add some fresh basil to balance the flavor of the salmon, and it worked out really well.
Right, and as now I think many of our viewers might be very interested about how exactly the mooncakes may taste like. So I've got an opportunity to taste the mooncakes as well, and now let's take a look about the video of the mooncakes. And right, Phoebe, and also tell us what are the ingredients that you have included?
Yeah, so for the beef Wellington mooncake, we have used the beef fillet and then as well as the mushroom paste, and we wrap around with a piece of Parma ham. So for the mushroom paste, we have also add the truffle sauce as well as the foie gras to make it, to lift the taste to a next level.
That's a lot of ingredients as well. And what about the salmon one?
And for the salmon, we have used the salmon fillet, and then we pair it with the spinach paste. So for the spinach paste, we have used cream cheese, mozzarella, and also the Parmesan cheese. And then we have also add fresh basil to make it to taste a bit like a pesto taste, because I think pesto tastes really well with the salmon.
Great, that's a whole lot of combinations between the two mooncakes. And now let's give it a try. Wow, this smells so good. Actually, it goes really well. And I feel like this kind of beef is definitely satisfy the meat lovers who want to taste mooncakes. And also I can sense the truffle as well. The flavors are like a whole lot of different kind of combinations together, and it's amazing. It's a very good combination between the Western flavors and the Eastern flavors together. So well done.
Thank you.
And also for the salmon, you can see that I'm finishing very fast. I do like it because it also has a creamy feeling. It goes very well with the salmon to make it more creamy, the textures.
So thank you, Chloe. I'm glad you like the mooncake. I would suggest the customers to serve them like a main dish. So for the beef one, it goes really well with the red wine gravy, or even a glass of red wine. And for the salmon one, we would suggest people to use dill cream sauce because the taste of the dill goes really well with salmon.
They taste really good. And also, Phoebe, I'm thinking, you've tried to launch your own brands amid the pandemic, and I'm thinking, were there some of the challenges you encounter along the way with this invention?
Yeah, so there are quite a lot of challenges I've encountered. So one of the most challenging part, I would say, is perfecting the recipe. And it took ages because there were many rounds of trial and error at home. I have made over 100 Mooncake Wellingtons in over a span of few months to refine the taste, the shape, and cooking time and the use of different ingredients. So also, I have to make sure the factory would actually achieve what I wanted, whether it's standardizing the quality of the ingredients or honing in on the design of the pastry. So to pull this off, I had to make factory visits from time to time and communicate directly with the teams there and change the recipe if necessary and monitor every detail. And it took quite a lot of work.
During this 1 year gap year, you also probably learned a lot as well. So I'm thinking, do you think this gap year could change your life or your career development or your career making decisions in some way?
So I took a gap year to do this Mooncake Wellington project last year. And then during that period, I had an internship in a different restaurant in the high hotels. So even though the internship at that time was non-paid, I'm really grateful to have gained useful insights and experience there. So I would say it is a really precious opportunity to learn things outside of the classroom, both inside the kitchen as well as the business world. And most importantly, after taking the gap year, I gave myself a clearer direction of what I want to pursue in the future, because I've always loved cooking, and so far I think it worked out really well because I get to have internship experiences in the kitchen of different prestigious hotels, and it definitely helped me on building my culinary career. And then, indeed, I've never compared myself to my friends. On the contrary, some of my friends even said that they envy me because I get to find out what I wanted to do. So having said that, I do feel like as a chef, as a profession, is often looked down upon in Hong Kong because it seems like people think only guys who fail to study would end up being chefs. But in fact, some people even told me that becoming a chef would be a waste of my academic achievements. And however, I firmly believe that the culinary arts is a real form of knowledge. It's hard work being a chef. So even the ones who serve the smallest restaurants, they serve the respect for all skills, and they have put a lot of effort, a lot of passion in their profession. So I just wish our society could change its impression of chefs or any other jobs. So if you're really passionate to do something, you just go for it and forget about all the stereotypes.
Right. And also, let's talk about the cheerful results as well. I know that the last year, the sales from the Mooncake Wellington beef was pretty successful, right? So tell us, how has the sales been last year?
Yes, for last year, thanks to everyone's great support, we have sold over 9,000 pieces of mooncakes, and they were all sold out before the Mid-Autumn Festival, and I'm really happy with the results.
Right, and what about this year's with your new invention, the Mooncake Wellington Salmon? How has the sale been?
So this year, the sales has doubled the amount, but then also to our costs as well, and let's say for the manufacturing costs and also the marketing costs. But then so far the result has also it is really good comparing it, like it's better comparing to last year.
And also, Phoebe, speaking of the profits you earned from your brand, I'm thinking, how would you make use of them? What's your plan on this?
Yeah, so part of the profit I will be the earned will be invested into my personal studies, and then part of them will be reinvest into my business, and to see if there are any more creations that we can bring to the public in the future.
Right. Before we wrap up, Phoebe, what would you say to others, for example, other young people who also have their own ideas and they want to realize, or to other young entrepreneurs just like you, what would you say to them?
So there are a few things I want to say. So firstly, you must have to work hard, because you need to sacrifice a lot of your personal time in order to bring something to life, but it's all worth it. And most importantly, you just have to bear in mind that do not let any social impression or stereotype to stop you from doing what you're really passionate about. You just have to go for what you want. And secondly, do not wait if you have an idea. You just start with actions, because even though you may not have all the resources you need at first, but you can just start with baby steps. Let's say you can start with some planning, saving up money for your business. One last thing is that you have to bear in mind that you need to be solution oriented, because that's a chef that once told me that he said, like, you should always separate your emotion with your business, because whenever you come across any challenges, you must not let your emotion to take control, because there will be numerous challenges that you need to come across that need to be solved. So it can be stressful at times, but then as you move forward, you need to learn to build up a strong mindset and just solve the problem. And I think this is the most crucial key to success.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing. Very inspiring as well. That's Phoebe Chan, the founder of Phoebe's Kitchen. We'll take a short break for now, and coming up next, we'll have more discussions on the city's online bakery business, so do stay tuned.